welcome to Around the Grounds with Chocco, and we have a special guest, and I'm talking one of the, he's probably one of the most renowned, respected footballers we've had in our competition for a long, long time, and I'm going to ask him the question how he gets his nickname very shortly, but I do welcome Shane Jumbo Guerra, mate. Welcome to Around the Grounds, buddy.
Thank you very much for having me on Open Chop, we'll call it tonight, will we? You've always wanted your own chat show and you got it.
Well, I'm trying to get something up and happening, but, mate,
fantastic, mate.
Now, before we get started on your stellar career, and I mean that with sincerity, mate, you're an absolute legend of our game. Jumbo, where did the nickname come from?
Well, I got that when I was 4 years old, and it was nothing more than my father got it when he was 4 years old. So this nickname's been around since 1940, and he got it for singing a kindergarten rhyme, and it was nothing more. That's my phone ringing in the background. There's nothing more than a hereditary nickname. I haven't deserved it. The old man was a great man, and I was lucky enough to be nicknamed after him, as my brother was. But it stopped with us. Our kids didn't get it. So since 1940, our family has been known as Jumbo.
So is there any chance that the grandchildren might get it?
The what?
The grandchildren might get it?
I doubt it. No. Jumbo will be dead and buried by then, the nickname, if not the people. Yeah.
Well, mate, 490 games across a few different clubs. I wouldn't say a lot, but a few different clubs, mate. Let's go back to your junior footy. Back for Koondrook. The Tigers, I believe, mate. They were the Tigers back in the day. Tell us a bit about junior footy at Koondrook.
Good days, and that's where my love affair for the Richmond Tigers came, I think, because the old girl wouldn't buy me an AFL jumper, so I had to wear my Koondrook one around. So we, started about 9 or 10, mate. We used to have this ground out the side at Koondrook that was covered in weeds, and we were called the Cabbage Patch Kids because it was a horrible little oval we played on. But, it was fantastic when you look back on it, isn't it? And we all look back on our junior footy and the kids we played with, and look, there's a lot of those kids you grew up with and played a lot of footy with, and there's some kids you just never saw again. But it was good playing for the Tigers back in those days.
So you were there from 87 through to 93, included a premiership in 93. Tell us a bit about that premiership and your first game. Now, your first game was in 87. Who was that against, and do you know where it was played?
It was in Kerrang. I actually played my last senior game in Kerrang, so a little bit of irony there. But, so 1987, I was probably about 62 kilos at that stage, Choc. I don't reckon I would have even had a pube at that stage, Choc. I was a very little boy. And we finished playing the thirds, as we called it back then, walking across the ground with my Big M and my pie, and the great Freddie Whelan, who was our coach at the time. And he said, "Do you want a game in the seniors, boy?" And I got a little bit excited, but I did say I'd have to go and ask my mum first. And she made me put the stack hat on and went out and played against Kerrang. And, got a couple of kicks and kicked the goal and thought I was as flash as Michael Jackson at that point. But, it was still very much a vivid memory, to be honest,
Now, let's fast forward. 93 premierships in the seniors. Mate, tell us a bit about that in 1993.
Yeah, the strike rate's not great, mate. It seems like I've played for 100 years and I've got one flag. So you look around and you look at blokes like Trev Ryan and those sort of guys, and the team success they've had. And it's just, it's to say I'm jealous is an understatement, because that's what you play for. And it disappoints me, to be honest. It's the only disappointment I've got in footy. There's a lot of things you do and you move on, but it just disappoints me that we didn't win enough premierships, or I didn't win enough premierships. And I'm jealous of people that have. And my best mate, Steve Thomas, he won one in 93 with us and went up to Tintinda and won 3 again up there. And for those blokes, I think what I really miss out on now, Choc, is having a reunion every now and then. I've got to wait every 10 years for one. So it'd be good nice to get out in the sauce every couple of years with some old footy mates. But look, we've only just sort of, in the last few days, quite a few of the boys that played in that 93 premiership, we we had a great year in 91, but we probably weren't quite ready at that point and we were a really local team, which you could get away with back then. 92, we blew it. We know that. But 93, we come up and, won the flag. And, so 27 years later, I'm still waiting for the second one, mate. So, but anyway, it is what it is.
Well, mate, you got one more than a lot of people, because I know there's a lot out there that have played footy for a number of years and got none. Now, in 94, mate, you went across and played with Kahuna. That was before they became the Kahuna Kangas. So tell us about why make the move, and why did you decide to go to Kahuna?
And look, it's probably something that in hindsight, like it was pretty controversial for our comp for someone to swap over like that. I went over, I had a couple of mates over there, and look, I had plenty of mates still at Koondrook too, but got offered a coaching role under Russ Parks, actually. Russell was coaching Kahuna at that, or had gone to Kahuna from Naya. Brought a couple of boys from Naya as well, who were great players, and went over there under Russ and spent 12 months as assistant coach under him, and then the 2 years following that, coached the Kahuna Football Club, which, never ever regret going over there. Some fantastic people. Yeah, look, and still to this day, I just text him tonight, a bloke like Ronnie Stanton and Neil Bradley, who came over and coached us. So get the opportunity to meet those people. Kerry Ballard was another one that probably a lot of people might have heard that name when early on in the Central Murray League. Some wonderful people over there. I'll tell you now, that was, a really good 4 years of my life.
Now, I want to talk about 97, and we'll talk about the Kahuna Kangas. We'll talk about the Koondrook Barham Raiders. What was the feeling like amongst those small towns when the mergers started? I know Koondrook merged with Barham, Union merged with Kahuna to form the Kahuna Kangas. You were part of that 97 team, that team that went into the Central Murray for the first time. Tell us how it felt. What was it like going into a new league, new club, and the feeling about being that as a player?
Look, the Kahuna one was an interesting one because both clubs had probably, I think they understood that it was time. And look, there was two really, really proud clubs over there, and as it was in Koondrook and Barham, probably a little bit different in the one town. But the Kahuna Union amalgamation, it seemed to go. I only played a dozen games there. I actually decided to roll my car over and break my neck in the summer, mate, so I missed a few games early. So I didn't get a great opportunity to have a lot to do with the Union people. But I can't speak highly enough of the Kahuna people. And at the end of the day, it's the same community. So, look, I think they might have made a grand. Well, the first year of the Kangas, we made a prelim. That's when I came back under Ashburn, who was a terrific coach. He really was. He deserved a premiership at Kahuna, to be honest. I think they might have made a grand final the second year against Tintinda. I'm not sure. So I think that went really well. But the Koondrook Barham amalgamation was when I was obviously away, and still to this day, mate, it's still the Koondrook and Barham people still hang a bit of crap on each other, but it's a really harmonious thing. I can honestly say that that it's been a really good thing for the community. To say that someone, and people still probably think, it'd be great if you could stay on your own, but we can't do that now. The communities can't support it. Realistically, we're all struggling as it is, and we're all getting together, and there's amalgamations going on everywhere. And but as far as our club goes, like, we've still got Barham people, and I'm a Koondrook person. I live in Barham, but call it North Koondrook. So we still say to original Barham people that you're no good. It wasn't for us. You wouldn't be surviving. And they'll tell us the same. But everyone hangs a bit on each other, and we all move on. It's really good, yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Barham were the Magpies. Koondrook were the Tigers, and that's what formed probably one of the greatest jumpers we've seen in those late nights.
Chocco, you're being, as Neil Bradley would say, facetious, which is some form of facetious. No, it's one of the most horrific jumpers ever. When I was younger, I didn't quite carry as much around the girth as I do now. I would hate to wear one of the old bumblebees because there was some boys that were probably not on the fitter side of it that didn't do them any favours, did it?
No, it didn't. And I often have conversations with ex-players around that famous jumper. But then the change, you moved into the Adelaide colours, a new identity, new colours. What was the reason for the club going that direction?
Because they were shocking jumpers, Chocco. It's as simple as that. They were putrid. And look, it was about 2002, I think, and actually it might have been 2003 because I coached in two, and I think we finished in those, and then Trev came, and I think he might have coached in the old Bumblebees for a start, and then there was Greg Lake, myself, and a few others. We decided enough was enough. We're all putting on a bit of weight. We can't be wearing these things forever. And we looked at. I remember we looked at the Sydney Guernsey, the Hawthorn one, which was too much like Lalbert at the time. I can't remember. There might have been another one, but anyway, we went with the Crows because it was something unique that no one had done around here, and we think it's really good. Yeah, we were never going to go to Crows. We're always going to stick with our moniker of the Raiders. But yeah, no, it's good. And I actually had a mate. I got a mate from Denny who just said to me the other day, "It's amazing how many of our kids around town wear our football shirts and football jumpers and our training jumpers." He said, "I've never seen a town that wears the footy colours like your town does." And we do. Like girls wear it around just socially. And I don't think no one's ever pushed it. It's just what we do. That's what we do in our community. We wear our footy gear. It might say something about the fashion sense in Koondrook and Barham, but it's just what we do.
Now, mate, let's start with, let's go 2001. Jack Betts medal, mate. Were you surprised? Was it something that you look back at now and go, because really, mate, you're the only Koondrook Barham player since 1997 to win a Jack Betts medal.
What was that?
You're the only.
No, I heard you. I heard you. I was just going to get you to say it again. No. Look, I didn't even go. No.
Really?
I went up a few years and won a few of those old paper awards, that LJ Hooker and all that sort of stuff, and got close a couple of times. But no, Helen was away that day, and we only had the one child at that point, and I had to stay home and look after Tom. And so I didn't actually get up there. And then my nephew Luke actually rang me that day and said, "You won it." I said, "Oh, bullshit." And no, you did. And look, to be honest, it was probably a period there where I was getting a couple of kicks, and it was a year where I thought, no, I'll be nowhere near it. But probably the difference was that year I actually played a fair bit more forward, and I kicked 20-odd goals for the year, which I wasn't a huge goal kicker later on in my career. I kicked a few as a kid, but as opposed to the other years where you might get a dozen or so, but probably kicked a few more goals. And I know there was votes you got in games where might have kicked a 3 with maybe mid-20 touches, where as opposed to none and say more, and you don't get those votes. So I think it was on the back of a few goals. And look, mate, I've got to be honest. I've stuck with this for a long time. Coaches get cheap votes. I got no doubt about that. They do. I don't care what anyone says, but you speak to them at the start, and if you're nice to them, they'll look after you.
So did you end up getting the old butcher's paper, mate, with your name and all the votes next to it like they used to do back in the day?
Nah, I didn't get that one, mate. I haven't got too much memorabilia at all, to be honest. It's all no.
Well, let's talk about current days, mate. As I said, you're best and fairest at Koondrook, Kahuna, and at the Raiders. You're a Jack Betts medalist. Mate, let's talk about Koondrook Barham at the moment. They're just ticking all the boxes. New club rooms, mate. The club is really flying at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, look, going all right. Yeah, the new club rooms are going to be fantastic. They're not far off it, actually. I think it's basically the sheds and the interior is not far off done. All the infrastructure is good to go. What it is the surrounds of them. And that 60 mil last week soon told us that they're not quite ready. There were some lakes around it. But, look, we're hoping, and who knows, but if we do get a start this year, we're hoping they're going to be ready to play on. But at worst, it's going to be ready for next year. So we're like all clubs, though, mate. We're not, to say we're flying is probably an overstatement. We're battling for numbers. We've got numbers there. We've got kids. We've got good kids coming through. But we're certainly not turning blokes away. It's getting harder and harder. It really is. And the opportunities around town for work are getting less and less. And like all towns, we love some sort of industry to come into town to keep our families. Like the thing that annoys me is the AFL. I look at populations and I look at numbers coming through, but they're not realistic numbers, I'm afraid to say. And like our population, for a start, it plateaus. But for every family of 4 that move away for work, and we miss out on a good young footballer and a good young netballer, we'll get 2 retired couples move into town. So it's 4 for 4. And so it's not reality to say that we're going well. I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but all country towns, I think, we're all going through the same thing. So it's not just us. It's not poor me or anything like that. But look, we've got some really good things happening at the club, really good things. But it's a battle. It really is. And we've got some from Greg Lake, Sonia Harrison, these sort of people. They're doing some fantastic work. Billy McGowan, really doing some great work for the club. And we should be so lucky that each and every one of our clubs have got these people, because I don't think people understand how much work those guys put in.
Yeah, you're right, Jumbo. Volunteers are hard to come by, but I know you value your volunteers and everyone that's involved in your club very, very much. Mate, thank you for joining us on Round the Grounds with Chocco. It's a pleasure to chat with you. Hopefully, as I said, we can catch up soon, mate, and reminisce a little bit more. But obviously, let's just hopefully see footy and netball back on the park in the near future. But, mate, thanks for joining us. Wish you all the best, mate. And, great chatting as always.
No worries. Thanks, Choc. And all the best to all the clubs out there. It's been tough for everyone. I was just talking to a young fella the other day who missed most of last year with injury, and he's just devastated that he doesn't get to play. Now, it is what it is, and we're all going to get through it. And at the end of the day, if this is the worst thing that happens to us, we're going okay. But I just wish everyone all the best for what this season could be. If it isn't, well, let's get back next year and make the Central Murray even stronger again, as you said in the intro. So, but thanks for having me on Open Choc, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Absolute pleasure.